Welcome to Home with NJ. Today we are going to learn how to make a lasagna. Let's get started. After you preheat your oven to 400 degrees, it's time to cook your noodles. This is actually really easy. What you need to do is grab a pot, fill it up with the hottest water you can get from the tap, and toss your noodles in. At this point, you just want to let them cook gently through there, and then you do not have any mushy noodles for your lasagna. Next, you're going to want to chop up your parsley and all the vegetables. Actually, what I like to do is, because I'm kind of lazy, want to use one cutting board, I do all my vegetables, then I give it a quick rinse and move on to the cheeses, and then you'll see ultimately we'll wind up chopping the meat on there. But right now you want to dice it pretty fine because it's going to be going into the ricotta cheese mix. Next is your basil. Make sure you clean it, and then you can roll it up and just start cutting it into thin strips, which it will be added to the sauce later. When choosing your onion, try to get one that's kind of medium in size because all you need is a cup, give or take, and you don't want to have a bunch left over. Chop it fine if you can because it makes all the difference that people aren't getting a big bite when they bite into the lasagna piece. Next up is 2 cloves of garlic. Take them off and give them a good smash with the side of your blade, and that makes it very easy to peel them. And dice them up really fine because you're going to want them to blend with the sauce without adding too many chunks. Unless that's what you like, then chunk it up. And if you do not have any fresh garlic on hand, this is a perfect chance to use jarred garlic. Put your goat cheese inside of the bowl and then get to kind of slicing your mozzarella. If you have fresh mozzarella, oh my gosh, it's so delicious that way. If all you can find is the regular mozzarella, either shred it or slice it like I have. Beat 1 egg and then toss it in with the goat cheese because we're going to blend that up. Okay, so apologies on this part of the video. My daughter was helping me out and it was a little bouncy, but basically what you're gonna do here is you're gonna have the bowl that you already put your goat cheese in and add your ricotta cheese to it. The egg was already in there from before, and then you're going to add salt, pepper, a cup of Parmesan, grated Parmesan, and using your hands, try to really incorporate it well, because what you're looking for when you're mixing it is to make sure that you're breaking up that log of goat cheese so that it kind of spreads beautifully throughout. And then it makes it, the flavor is much more harmonious, which is exactly what you want on this delicious portion of the lasagna. All right, now we are up to the meat for the sauce, and this is going to be the last thing you use your cutting board for. But what you want to do is take the sausages and slice off the casings. Once you get that, kind of mush them together. If you can find the sausage without the casing, I can find it very rarely. Go ahead and grab it. I also love mixing half spicy, half sweet, but I don't normally do so because my kids do not like the spice at all. Now that we are done with prep, we are starting to cook, and you're going to take your warm preheated saucepan, throw in some olive oil, about 2 tablespoons, and then put in your onions. Let them cook for about 5 minutes until they become translucent, and then you're going to throw the garlic in as well. Give that about a minute so it is not bitter, because you don't want that in your food. Once the onion and garlic are cooked through, you're going to throw your meat in, and you're going to break it up while you're cooking it. You want to make sure it's no longer pink before we are going to move on to the next step. This could take anywhere between 5 and 7 minutes depending on your pan and the heat. I would suggest keeping your heat at a medium to medium-low heat. Now that we've finished with the onion and the garlic and cooked through the sausage, we're going to really make the sauce now. So the first thing you'll see, I add in the fresh basil, then the tomato paste. The job of tomato paste is to thicken a sauce, so you want to make sure that you have it, and you can use a small can, a full can for this. It's about 6 ounces, I think. Then after that, you want to throw in your 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes. There are crushed tomatoes out there that have basil in them. You are totally able to use that, that's fine, but I wouldn't use that and then not add fresh basil. There is something to be said for adding fresh herbs in your cooking that makes the flavor just, I don't know, maybe more professional or something, but I just would never get rid of my fresh herbs if I can use them. So then you're going to let your sauce sit on the stovetop for probably about 15-20 minutes to just kind of incorporate all of the flavors. All right, guys, now it is time to assemble. One of the best things that you can do is line everything up so that way it makes it so much easier. Ricotta, mozzarella, sauce, and pasta. And then the first thing that you're going to want to do is take 1/3 of the sauce, the tomato and sausage sauce, and you're going to put it on the bottom of the pan. There's no reason that you need to grease the pan because this is what's going to protect it in the long run, and you're not going to have any sticky noodles that are a pain to wind up cleaning in the end. After that, you're going to go into the noodles. Now, if you have pulled them out of the sink, do not drain them from the water. The water is going to make sure that they don't get sticky at all. And you're going to do a little bit of a layer, just peeling them, and you can use your fingers and break them up because remember, it's going in the oven. They're not going to see that it's torn versus cut as far as your lasagna noodles are concerned. And then we get to the ricotta cheese mixture. Now, this can be a little bit thick at times because of the goat cheese, and so you're going to want to use your fingers and spread as evenly as possible. Now, if you cannot get this to be perfect, it's not a big deal because when we get it into the oven, it melts again and kind of blends in nicely with all of the other flavors that are going on there. At times you could see I used a fork because it was a little more successful than when I was using my fingers, and sometimes it was more successful with my fingers. And last, you're going to see that there's a layer of mozzarella. If you have fresh mozzarella, definitely use it. If you don't, you can shred or just use regular mozzarella. And now we are going to be repeating this process again. So on top of that fresh mozzarella, I have the sauce, another layer of noodles. I'm going to do the other half of the ricotta mixture. And then I'm going to wind up putting on the fresh mozzarella again. This is going to be the only 2 layers that you have for this dish before we finish it off. Okay, so now we are done with the layers and we are on the last portion of the tomato sausage sauce. It is about 1/3 left and you are going to spread that over the top. There will be no more cheeses except for the very last portion, which will be a cup of Parmesan cheese. You can just sprinkle this over the top. If you do not plan on making or cooking this right away, what I would suggest is holding off until you are ready to cook for that part. After baking at 400 degrees for 30 minutes, you are done. Let it cool so that the cheese is hardened a little and it's not a hot mess. I hope that you enjoyed making the lasagna, and thank you so much for watching.